You might have reached the point in your life where you're like, okay, I need to have some alternative social media. I need to ruin my life. Whatever your reason or lack of one may be, let's just get started here. What is 4chan? 4chan is a simple image-based bulletin board where anyone can post comments and share images. That means anyone from anywhere. There are boards dedicated to a variety of topics from Japanese animation and culture to video games, music, and photography. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of boards. Some are blue, some are safe for work, and some aren't safe for work. See what I mean? Users do not need to register an account before participating. However, it does make it a little bit easier. I haven't done it myself because I can wait a couple minutes. It used to be 15 minutes for like the past 6 months, but the site went down, so they lowered it to 2 minutes. Now you probably just want to literally, jump right in, and you want to say, okay, so I don't give a fuck about what you're telling me. How do I make a thread? And before we do that, I want to give you just a little bit of basics. Well, let's go to biz, actually. Actually, no, we'll go to poll. So there's some very important tips along the way I'm going to sprinkle along here just to make sure you're paying attention. We'll just start a thread here. Okay, this is the very important part. There's a name field. Options, subject, comment, verification. If you have a pass, you can get past that, right? You can adjust your flag. You can upload a file. If you're starting a thread, you probably should have some sort of image to go with your thread. So that's what we're going to do. For right now, I'm going to run you through a little bit of lingo. There's a bunch of prefixes and suffixes on 4chan. No matter the board that you're going to have to familiarize yourself with, and you're like, okay, so what the fuck is a soykek or a chud cell? There's a whole bunch of, they just take random bits of words and they combine them. It doesn't always have to make sense. Somebody was called a fucking, like a switchlet or some shit. This is what I mean. They invent words. Okay, so take this word, if we want to call it that, and let's deconstruct it. So somebody who plays the switch, and let, where does let come from? That comes from the word manlet, which in turn comes from midget, right? So in other words, the user is belittling somebody who uses the Nintendo Switch, right? Or you could call them switchcocks. Whatever you have up here. Which these words have similar attributes. Okay, we know what a cuck is. We know what a midget is, a manlet. We know what a cell is, an incel. Kex. I'm just assuming this is just like, oh, laugh at them, they're pitiful, whatever, right? It doesn't really, none of these words necessarily have it's not like a hard and fast rule, and it's not a hard and fast meaning. You don't have to take the words literally. It's just meant to belittle, make fun of other users for having certain opinions. So, for example, okay, this is perfect. Now, we're going to take this image, right off of Google, mind you. We're going to take this image. Actually, no, let's do the keyboard. That would be better, right? Let's do that. So we're going to take this image. We're going to edit the price here. Okay, because this is obviously old and outdated, and we need to fix it. But more importantly, this is mostly so that people interact with the thread. If they just see some normal image, they're like, oh, why would I care about? You have to find a reason to make them care about said image. Okay, let's take the highest number here. And we're going to match it up. Now you have to remove the border, that way it actually fits. Because I know I got some of the margin with that. I also can't really see what I'm doing because it's so tiny. Oh yes, we need to remove the 4. By the way, this is an integral part of the 4chan experience because you never know who is posting whatever, so they could very well be posting something that is not even real at all. So So I'm not the only person doing this, even though this is for a humorous purpose. We are trying to bait users to reply to the thread. Okay, let's take a look. It looks like the 9 is slightly off. Okay, so the Big Mac is currently $6. Well, that's from 10 months ago. Now, we could just remove this bottom part, or we could follow through. I'm going to say we remove it because I'm not going to put that much effort into this. I'm going to combine these 2 layers. No, I'll just do it. I'll do it. The important part is making it fit with the image. And I don't know the font, so we can't just throw in numbers that we don't have. For example, like a 0 here. So I'm going to just remove that. Because the price already is going to be outrageous. Oh, it's going to be great. And now we're going to touch up the image. Okay, this is all the work I'm going to put into this. I'm not going to do any more of this. No, I'll just do it like this. Now watch closely. I'm going to try and do this in a style that emulates the average user. While waiting, I think I'll fill you in on a little bit more information. So if you're on a board with flags, no matter what flag it might be, there usually, more often than not, is a nickname for said flag. So for example, since Canada has a maple leaf, they will be called leaves. Not leaves, but leaves, singular, for whatever reason. Americans, since we are fat and we like burgers, we are referred to as burgers. Another good one, New Zealand, Kiwis. And if there's not like a noun to refer to the country as, then there will be a name. For example, Ivan's, Germany, Hans. Just like those stereotypical names you think of. They do the same thing in wartime. They'll just call the other country, you know, whatever stereotypical name they could think of. Same thing applies here. And anyway, the list just keeps going and going and going. Now on to some actual phrases, or I don't know, just maybe like a choice expression. The first one I would think of would be BTFO, or I believe it's just back the fuck off. In other words, like scared away, put off by something. Here's a good one I just remembered. In your path. There's another one. How do you respond without sounding mad? So, this is what I mean by shit not making sense. You can do this yourself. You can attach any image, have it be about any topic, and just insert the phrase. Insert either of these phrases. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. Because this is like another form of information warfare 90% of the time. Okay. Somebody out there is doing it, no matter what. A lot of these posts are rage bait, no matter the board, which is actually why I'm doing this, because I know that people will respond to it. If we make it look genuine and real enough, people will respond to the thread, which is what we want. We can't do organic posts anymore. 90% of the time. Sometimes it does happen, I won't lie, there are outliers. It does happen, but it's much easier to do rage bait because that is what this website is nowadays. There's not really genuine discussion anymore. So for example, I'm about to post, by the way, it's almost through with the timer. So you could attach like a news article or some shit. Like it doesn't have to correlate with this. It doesn't have to make sense. I just saw a thread on /v about video game prices. Okay, video game prices. So they think because of GTA 6 that prices will be close to $100 for video games. Okay. So you attach some sort of relevant image to the thread, and then you write $100 video games in your path. Now, there's plenty of phrases like that, but those are just the ones I'm thinking of at this specific moment. Okay, threads up. One thing I didn't talk about, the suffix fag. To me, it doesn't really... I guess they're just calling you gay in the sense that they call everything gay. Like they choose that, like if you hopped on a Modern Warfare 2 lobby and you call everything gay, like back in high school. Okay, so if I were to have a name, quite literally it'd be name fagging. Okay, there's also trip fagging as well. And to give you a little bit of meta, I know this is about fast food, but I've made it political by saying "Do Americex really," playing on the stereotype that we love fast food, which, well, is pretty true, actually, yeah. Here we go, here's a good one. Europore. And here we go, we've already got a couple replies. DoorDash marks everything up multiple dollars, which is true. Yes, it does. That's the exact reason I chose DoorDash, because I noticed this myself after a couple deliveries. It's the perfect bait. So to reply to a person, you just click. You click on the post number, and then you get going. There is a such thing as same fagging, which is, if it's on a board without IDs, it's much easier to do. You can just reply to yourself, having an alternate opinion, or arguing with yourself to, in other words, bump the thread to keep it in the catalog so that people see it. You can also just stimulate others by doing that. But I can't do that on poll. So we'll just skip over that for now. In other words, if you think somebody's replying to themselves, you'd call it same fagging. Now, since this guy says DoorDash marks everything up multiple dollars, let's come up with something. Now, if you look in the bottom right, it will tell you the amount of images, posts in the thread, and the page number. There's only 10 pages on a board, so the less it gets bumped or up in the catalog, the further back it'll go until eventually it gets pruned by one of the janitors. There's both janitors and moderators. I'm pretty sure Jannies just remove threads, and I think moderators are the ones that actually ban. Now to hop over to X, the paranormal board. If you don't know anything about green texting, you just use an arrow on your keyboard. So let's take a look at this post here. Green text can be used for all sorts of things. They can be used to just highlight text. They can be, there's a such thing called green texting, where you can just describe, like tell a story or some shit, if you've ever heard about green text threads, where you just describe your actions, but in like in a present tense sort of thing. In other words, you're reading this from the perspective of the poster, right? Anyway, I mean, yeah, that's really it. I'm sure there's more stuff I can think of, but this really does cover the basics.